Or first and more. All we have to do is say action, and then we're going.
Or should
Terry, when she first started, had a very amount of power. And she's like, shut up.
now you know what I've learned.
So you can start it.
Ready, Craig? You ready? All right.
Okay, so the next one we're going to have is going to be a Crianza from Spain. Joe, the vintage on this, is it 2014 or 2015? 14. So this is a 2014 Crianza, which is, there's so many times that we talk about not having wines that have age to them already, or you guys basically have to age the wine at that point. This winemaker in particular loves to age the wine for you and let it sit. The 2014 is his current release, and this wine is going to be made by a winemaker named Miguel Angel de Gregorio. I'm looking down so I don't mess it up. And he's actually, he's a second generation Rioja producer. His father is a famed Crianza and Rioja producer. He basically worked for his father, and they started to really butt heads. He left the winery and decided he was going to strike out on his own. And what's crazy is the winery that he owns, the winery where this wine comes from, Finca Nueva, is basically a winery where he went to work for who he thought was a friend of his in the cellar and to help him make his wine. The guy treated him very poorly, at least that's his story. The guy treated him very poorly, and he was a very difficult person to work for. So at that point, he decided, well, I can either go back to my father or I can continue getting abused and keep going. Well, it was at that point that the guy who owned the winery went bankrupt, basically, and he purchased the winery from him, which was fantastic. So what this simply means in Spanish, Finca Nueva means the new winery. And why they call it the new winery and why he simply called it the new winery was because everybody kept saying, when he was ordering equipment, when he was doing different things, they were saying, well, where do you want this delivered? Where do you want this to go to your dad's winery? Or where do you want it to go? And he's like, send it to Finca Nueva, my new winery. So after a while, the name just stuck. And basically, he kind of believes that Rioja, or Crianzas, Riojas, should be a little bit more friendly, a little bit more fun, a little bit more playful. And I really think this one really shows that idea.
It's light, easy drinking.
Yeah.
It still has all the typical Spanish aspects.
Oh, it does.
You've got your earthiness, your leatheriness.
But it's not overdone. And one of the things that he does too is he ages the wine for 12 months in French and American oak barrels. A lot of times in Rioja, they'll age in American oak, which sometimes gives it this, like way too much, almost give it like almost like a suntan lotion or coconutty aspect to it. When you mix it with the French oak, and when you basically use, I think they're using 3- and 4-year-old oak barrels for this. So the barrels have been used. They've had their time to leach out some of that flavor profile and just really lend themselves to that. Then so Crianza, you're supposed to age for 2 years. You figure we're on 2014 with this. I believe he aged it for a year in oak, and then I believe it was almost another year in bottle once it got released, or one before it got released. So he likes to make sure that what you're getting is the wine you're going to be able to drink now. And it's 100% Tempranillo. That is what Crianza truly is. And one of the other things that he does is he only works with grapes that are indigenous to Rioja. So it's really important for him to be traditional, but yet make stylistic wines that are a little bit more happy and fun, I think. This wine, one of the things that they said to pair it with was grilled or roasted pork, Spanish chorizo, or aged cheeses of, again, probably goat, probably sheep, milk cheeses that would be fantastic with this. But it's just such a pretty wine, and he is, when you talk to people about Rioja and you mention his name, they definitely know who he is. And when you get to the label, on the label, I think there's a little hummingbird, or there's a bird leaving the cage, right, Joe? There's like a little cage.
Well, it's just a
It's a
hummingbird.
hummingbird. So his thing was it's
Can
a
see that?
hummingbird. It's a hummingbird basically being free and doing its thing. And that's kind of how he felt when he left his father's winery, because his father was very, you're going to do it this way, and this is how we've done it for generations, and this is how it's going to be. And that wasn't how he wanted to make wine. So luckily for him, he was able to get into this winery, start making wine the way that he wanted to make it. So that's this wine.